We were talking earlier about self-deportation, which honestly just sounds, it's a strange way of putting it. So let's talk a little bit about what Mitt Romney, I think we have a clip of what Mitt Romney said about his hopes for self-deportation as an immigration strategy.
You severely sanction employers that hire people who have not legal documentation and legal authorization to work here. On that basis, over time, people will find it less attractive to be here if they can't find work here. Some refer to that as self-deportation.
I think you have to live in a world of Swiss bank accounts and Cayman Island accounts and automatic, $20 million a year income with no work to have some fantasy this far from reality.
Do you think this is a fantasy, Erica Gonzalez?
Yes, I do. I think that it doesn't address the complexity of this issue. It's not a policy solution. You have families, you have undocumented parents with citizen children.
The blended families.
Of course, a mixed status family. So people are not going to extract themselves after investing so many years, being a part of communities, supporting the meat industry, meatpacking industry in places like Alabama, where now businessmen have to search for workers, after an ordinance was passed, punitive, So the direction the Republican Party is taking is just to be punitive, punitive, punitive. And that doesn't resonate with Reagan. It doesn't resonate with Bush. It doesn't resonate with anything visionary.
I think that Erica's argument is an example of what we always hear: don't allow the perfect to be the enemy of the good. Mitt Romney's self-deportation statement has been mocked on Twitter and mocked on television, largely through the prism of a lack of understanding. I think his policy actually makes quite a bit of sense. Shore up the border, shore up the inflow, make a secure border, and then within the country, make rules that make it very hard for employers to hire illegal immigrants. What you'll create is a situation where illegal immigrants have a hard time getting employed, and they won't have the economic benefits of living in this country, so they'll go home.
Okay, so economically, what would you say? Pick a year for me. What has been the worst year?
We are in the midst of it. We have a huge downturn.
You don't think 2008 would be a really good year?
Well, in the last 3 or 4 years, we've had a huge immigration.
Okay, so when you actually examine the numbers, though, you didn't see an outflow. You saw some. But if you're talking about, and I think the estimates are 20 million people potentially who are in this country without documents or in the country illegally, you're never going to get that from self-deportation.
Now, we have seen an outflow. The question is whether or not it's been great or not. So the question is whether or not it's been great or not. And this is, again, the argument, I don't need perfection for my argument to be good. The question is...
He says of his own argument.
The question is, well, look, in an environment of a total lack of immigration policy from both the Democrats and the Republicans, by the way, be very clear, this is not a partisan issue. This is an idea that actually makes some sense.
But at the end of the day, you have to confront the larger problem. We can say, nibble at the edges, and so a few will leave, but that's not the fundamental problem. It's so much larger.
It's the same two-step approach. Let's clamp down on the border. Let's be punitive. Let's crack down. And there's never anything in the other direction. I mean, even Reagan, even both Bushes pushed a more comprehensive policy, had a more humane approach, and had more reasonable answers for dealing with immigration issues.
That's why the poll numbers show what they show.